I joined because I just love being in a team where everybody kind of has the same likes and differences, because we all kind of are nerdy and like to game and have fun.
I believe in STEM. I think it's great for kids. It's hands-on. It teaches them how to problem solve.
I want to be a robotics engineer when I grow up, and I feel like this will give me a good thing to put on my college application, and B, will give me a good jump start on programming and building robots.
We've all been there. That moment of panic when you realize you've left your charger somewhere. But where? Is it in your hotel room, your rental car? Wherever it is, your battery is dying, and now you're stuck. But now you never have to worry about leaving your charger behind with the brand new Charger Leash. It's preset to ring as soon as you unplug your device. The alarm helps to remind you to unplug your cord and take it with you, ensuring you're never on the go without power. It's also a great anti-theft device that alerts you if someone else unplugs your phone at a public charging station, at an airport, or a convention center. Never get stuck with a dead battery again. Charger Leash.
Hello, and thanks for being patient. Welcome to episode 46 of Ladies of the Roundtable Live. And tonight's show is called The Usual Suspects because I'm here with my partners in crime. The ladies are with me live. I know they're somewhere around here, I'm not sure. We're going to start with, say good evening to Miss Pixie. Hi! And Kim, Regality TX, is with us.
Hey!
Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo.
Hey everyone, how are ya?
And of course, the Energizer Bunny that is page 6.
Hello! That's a new one.
That girl's got some stamina, I'm gonna tell you. She's always going. Alright, so I'd like to thank, first and foremost, our sponsors that you guys saw the intro videos coming in. Charger Leash is one of our first official corporate sponsors, and they are gracious enough to give us 25% of each and every purchase made with the LORT code that's down there in the bottom of our information page. So if you're looking for a charger for your phone, actually an anti-theft charger, which if you unplug that sucker and leave it somewhere, it's going to make this ungodly noise to remind you that you've left it. And or someone's trying to jack your shit. So hey, who doesn't need a charger that's let you know somebody's stealing your phone? At an airport, convention, wherever you're at, this is the one for you.
I could use one here. You could use one in New York City, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that's right. You guys can't carry guns there, can you?
Alright, so
well.
if you order one of those, 25% off the sale right off the top goes to the charity. And speaking of the charity, you guys saw the promotional video that we have for our STEAM or STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Math team. Think outside the box. Now this team is a team of boys and girls, 10 kids, age 10 to 13, that are competitive in First Lego League, robotics, and engineering. Ian's got their links to their Twitter and their website, and they are amazing kids. Their website is entirely made up by them. Their Twitter is entirely live by them. So, oh, somebody says they don't see Paige. She's there, guys. She's there. Maybe it'll take a few minutes to show up.
No, she's up there.
Yeah, she's up there.
She's up there. She's up there.
Oh no, you're missing all my energetic faces.
We see Paige.
Yeah, I'm around and I'm in a comic dress that
She's right next to me. All I have to do is move to my right to give her a hug.
Oh man!
You could do some selfies together while you're live. Tweet it out.
Arcade Android's girlfriend likes my shirt, and I think that I should tell her where I got it so that she can get one too. I got it.
Awesome.
I looked it up on like eBay. It was like five or $10. It's like it's called a manga dress. I was like, yeah, $5.
I
All
think I
right.
need that in my life.
Awesome.
Right?
So guys, since we're running a little bit behind, we were trying to get some technical difficulties taken care of. We're gonna go ahead and move into Nikki's feature tonight. Remember, this is the show where we talk about geek and nerdy things. We're all self-professed, whatever label you want to give us. We love the stuff. We love all the things, and we're gonna just give it to you, give you our opinion straight up. We
Okay,
don't hold
so
anything back.
all right, so great. So I've been watching YouTube streams from some of my favorite YouTubers like NTAC, Baron, Von Games, and Fly Daily, and they've all been playing this new game H1Z1, which seems to be another one of those survival games, like The Forest, almost like DayZ, like Unturned. And one of the things that was announced by the developer of this game is the way that they're going to be doing their in-game purchases, and they give the ability for people to purchase things such as well, it's kind of like paying to win. They could purchase extra supplies, and they could purchase other things that would make the game unbalanced at that one piece, that one point of time. And a lot of people are up in arms about this because it would unbalance the game and actually become one of those pay to wins. Now, the issue that I have with this is that this is a game that is currently in development. It's a pre-release or early access game. So it's not a release, it's an early access game. So it's still in that developing its actual, footprint. But it is something that could actually make the game very for something that looks promising, has okay graphics, and has a good, from what I could see, a good dynamic of being able to play together, it actually could make it something that's not as good. I don't believe it's going to be an issue in the end, but that's one of the things that I was able to see. So what do we think about these games that are coming out now that do offer people the opportunity with microtransactions to pay and essentially pay to win?
I played H1Z1 a couple of days ago, and I finally gave into the hype, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna try it. So I got in there, and I was looking around on a couple servers, actually, not just one, and I couldn't find anything. I couldn't loot anything from any cars, from any houses, from any shops, like anything. I could not find a single thing, and I was so upset. And I think that that's something that they're trying to play into. They're saying, oh, well, you can't find anything because it's such a highly populated server. Maybe you should get these supply drops. And, the game came with supply drops, but I've also heard that the supply drops will just drop anywhere. So even though you paid for it, apparently they can just drop anywhere and anybody has the chance to get it. You specifically won't get it. So, my big tiff with it is, I'm not a really big pay to win. I don't want to do that. The only thing that I've ever done that with was Hearthstone, and I feel like my wallet has been crying for forever because I just really, really wanted those cards on Hearthstone, so I paid for them. And then I kind of felt bad about it later, but I can't get into the pay to win. I feel like it's really unbalanced, and I feel like it's going to continue to be that way.
So what you're saying is, from your interaction with the game, you didn't find that would be an unbalancing thing because you couldn't find anything anyway.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything anyway. I think it's kind of forcing you to pay.
Okay.
I think it'll probably get balanced out a little bit more after they kind of have finished development. They'll make respawn times a little bit better, but as of right now, I couldn't find anything. I played for 30 minutes and I didn't find a single thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Shiv, what do you think about that?
I think 30 minutes of gameplay and you couldn't find shit would piss me off.
I didn't find shit. And also, another thing is the PvP in that game. Like, it says PvP server. I walked up to somebody who had shit somehow.
Yeah.
And they had guns and bows and all this junk, and I'm like standing there, and they're looking at me, and I'm looking at them, and then they just walk away. I'm like, oh, okay.
And it's like the Wild Wild
Sure.
West. You didn't hear the the whistle noise, and you didn't jack them for it?
I was just like,
Wow.
"You'll get me."
Oh, oh, man,
Well, that's so much different.
they're lucky it wasn't me because I would have tried to jack them. It's PvP. It is all free for all. Okay, corral up in there. I would have tried to take their stuff. I mean, for me, I don't play these survival games on purpose because I've said it, I don't know how many times. I have a teenager in the house and I cannot act appropriate in these types of situations. There is language that occurs and things that get thrown around and stuff pushed off the desk. I rage and I can't do that the way that I feel I need to do it and express myself in a game when my daughter's in the house. So I have to just keep myself away from stuff like that. I have to live vicariously through you streamers and watch you play and make commentary. So I won't be jumping into this one because I know what's going to happen, especially in a PvP situation, because Sharvasta loves some PvP. I will lose days of my life and have to apologize to everyone in the house. So it's just not going to work for me. I mean, Pixie, what do you think?
I mean, I think the thing is, this is going to appeal to anybody who is perfectly fine playing any game that is pay to win. There are a lot of people who are tired of, not being able to win because they can't get, whatever random drop they need. So now you can pay for it, and that's totally fine. If that's what works for some people, that's what works for some people. But what they need to do is, as Kim has already mentioned, like, they're not getting, like, it's impossible to loot. You're not getting drops of any sort, like, in all reality, so you're not getting anything. So the problem is you have to make sure that the game, even though it is, pay to win, that you can allow for people who are not paid to win players to come and still at least have a decent amount of fun. Otherwise, you're getting rid of an entire population of gamers. You're getting rid of the people who, want the drops, and they want that random luck, and they want to, skillfully have to outmaneuver someone else. I mean, in DayZ, people buddy up to each other, and then, randomly in the middle of the night, you kill somebody. And then you take all their shit.
Yeah.
That's the way the game works.
High fives!
So why, for somebody like me who likes the strategy in some of these games,
Yeah.
it gets rid of it. It completely gets rid of some of that strategy and some of that real manipulation. And that's part of what makes these games fun. And I think that it's kind of a good decision in some ways, because it keeps their marketplace growing and it allows them to have income to maintain servers. But on the other hand, it's just completely spectacular.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Oh, man. What about you, Hicks?
6.
Well, normally I would be in complete agreement with Kim and Pixie on a topic like this. However, H1Z1, or the Hizzy, as it's been called in the house over the last couple of days.
I love that! OMG, I might want to play now.
No, people do call it that.
Yeah. It's been getting downgraded.
That's a big part of the story, Nikki.
Sorry.
I live in a house full of gamers, and my brother, who lives upstairs, streams all the time, and he has been really deep into H1Z1, and he's gotten us kind of into it. H1Z1 did something cool. They allowed a full refund for people who bought it the first day before they announced it. And what they did with these drops that is very interesting is you are not getting a pay-to-win item. You are getting ingredients to make something that could significantly help you. The drops take about a minute to drop. They're followed by smoke. You become a target if you pay for one of these drops. And the most important factor is that they only are allowing drops in wealthy servers. So if you're in a server where people are not already putting money into the server, you cannot pay for these drops. You're going to have to go to a wealthy server. So there are servers for people who do not want to pay, which is really, really important and really, really innovative. So I think that that's really interesting. I think that that's a game changer in the way that they want to put in microtransactions. And I think that that's something that other games can definitely learn from. My family over here has been having a lot of fun with it. He upstairs, he was on Twitch the other day. He was holed up in a house, and then eventually somebody killed him. He went a couple of days without losing any of his stuff. He did pretty well, and now it's all gone.
That's nuts.
And yeah, right. But he's having a good time. He really likes it. He doesn't regret the purchase. He bought it after the announcement, and I've been watching him play. And I initially was pretty put off because on Reddit they first said they weren't going to do anything like this, and then they came up with this different kind of strategy to change it up, and it won him over, and eventually it kind of won me over. If you're going to do it, you should have an option for people that don't want to. Or at least that's my opinion on it. What do you guys think?
So I had a question about the economy on the server. Since I don't play the game, my question is, how are you able to strengthen the economy so that your server can be one of those that, is able to survive?
You have to buy a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you have to buy a lot of stuff, obviously. I think that also because, this is early access, correct?
Correct.
I don't know how strong it's really going to get, especially because this is kind of experimental even. Who knows if it's going to be able to work, but I really hope it does. Because I think that that's really kind of great to be mixed in with people, to be able to separate yourself from people who want it to be pure survival based or who can't afford it, and people who can, and keep them kind of, if you want to be there, you could be there, and if you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. So Kim, go ahead.
Jericho has a really good question. He said, but at what point does the server become wealthy? Like, how much are we going to have to spend as a unit?
That's what I was saying too. Like you were saying, you were on a server and you couldn't find anything, and apparently it was wealthy enough. The servers that he's been playing on have been pretty well populated. Like he stole a car, and from what I've seen, it worked really well. I don't really know how well they're going to work out those kinks. I'm sure there are plenty of them because it's early access, and hopefully they smooth that out.
Pixie.
Anyone else?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it sounds like this is this is a good solution to a potential problem. But my question is, what are you going to do if you want to swap servers? Like, are you going to have mid-level servers when it comes to wealth? Or are you going to have, these servers where you can slowly, accumulate and swap from server to server to server until, you're in a good place for you? Or are you going to have to go from one server that's, not considered wealthy to the most wealthy, and then in which case, you're screwed unless you pay an incredibly high amount?
That's really interesting you bring that up. That's a really important concern. Hopefully the game is big enough that there's going to be kind of gradations.
Right.
Yeah, I would hope that they allow for leveling up in that case.
When I read the article, I had just watched I think it was Baron Von Games and Fly Daily do the episode just after it, and then Entech, and they talked about it and said, you know what, based on what they see in it, it's a non-issue, but what they seemed to say was that the pay-for servers weren't ones that were already wealthy. They were called wealthy servers and they were predetermined, but I don't know how that is. Isn't this a game that you set up on your own server? Like, it's not hosted by them, it's hosted by like any of the other Arma 3 games. You have your own server that you create?
I'm not really sure, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know anybody that created a server.
I would be willing to bet that some of them are internal servers and some of them are player based.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm.
I'd say Minecraft-esque when it comes to servers or
Okay.
Rust.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, yeah, so we're going to move over to Paige. Paige has got something exciting. Sorry, Nikki.
No, it's fine.
Well,
Perfect.
Kind of shocking to me in a way, but I kind of saw this coming. Moot is stepping down from 4chan, from heading 4chan. Moot started 4chan when he was 15, 11 and a half years ago. And for those of you who have been following, there's been a lot of controversy on 4chan, more so than usual, including a person admitted to a murder on 4chan, And in the meantime, Moot began to reprogram to write new code for the site. And he said that he was on vacation by himself. People were speculating that he was going to hand it over. And it seems that he has. There's a lot of questions as to why he's stepping down, if he's being pressured, if he really does not want to do it anymore. But he claimed in his letter that 4chan is in danger of going under financially, and that it's been getting very hectic for him. I'm really shocked, even still. He's been doing that since he was 15. I know that he definitely can move on to better things, but 4chan is very successful. I believe that it's had, at the time of his announcement, more than 42 million visitors, and that's extremely, extremely successful for an image board.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So I don't know if any of you guys frequent 4chan. I spent a lot of my years on it when I was a kid, and I am a little conflicted on how I feel about it, and I'm really curious as to what the real reasons are behind it, because I kind of don't believe that he's just stepping down. But what do you guys think?
I think that I don't spend a lot of time over 4chan. It's not a place where I need to be at this stage in my life. I think that enough of you guys check it out for me and keep me filled in, and social media. So I get my enough of it that I'm not overdosed. And I have a lot of admiration for him for starting something at 15 and making it what it is, and successful.
Yeah.
But being a successful site and having traffic doesn't always negate being able to survive financially. So there could be some things behind the scenes that he just can't make work for himself to be able to sustain. However, that doesn't mean that he's not smart enough to do, like you said, something else. Something else may be coming. I would be very surprised if there wasn't something popping out behind the scenes after he does step down, because he's a smart enough guy to read the writing on the wall and say, okay, this site is okay, it's done what it was supposed to do, now what can I do better? Which is what happens with most entrepreneurs, especially when they're starting out at an early age and they see how, in his case, things are developed on the internet. Because you remember back when he made this site, there wasn't a lot going on the internet. So we've come up in a lot of technology, a lot of code, things are a lot different, moving a lot faster, so he may have found something that might excite us even more than this did when it first launched. What do you think, Pixie?
I think there's a lot to this. I think that with the evolution of the internet, you now have 8chan, you now have other websites that are reasonably similar to 4chan in some way, shape, or form. And I also think that at a certain point, you become old enough that you get tired of dealing with shit. It happens. Like you just get tired of dealing with shit. There's a lot of things that go on 4chan or that are discussed that are borderline iffy.
They cross the borderline pretty blatantly.
I'm trying to be nice here. But you know, it reminds me of God, what was his name? He owned a website called Is Anyone Up? And they posted nude pictures of girls who like sexted, and he finally was just like, I'm so tired. Like, he was like, I am so tired of having to check and make sure people aren't sending me child pornography. Like, he's like, I'm so tired of this. I am too old for this. Like, I can sell this website to this anti-bullying league and they will pay me mad money just to get this website off the internet. And that's what he did. And he made, like, bank. And I think at a certain point, like, people just get tired of it. People get tired of having to, you know, make sure that their ass is covered, because that is very difficult. And then at a certain point, on top of that, like, the internet evolves. Everything evolves. He might have been making money at it in the beginning, but he might not now, because there are so many other websites that are coming out that are doing what 4chan did when 4chan was the only one.
Okay. I got a question. Okay, so what Pyrofire is saying in chat, were they really a place where people that were putting together DDoS attacks congregated or set up?
Anonymous.
Yeah.
The group
Yeah.
known as Anonymous regularly congregated on 4chan,
you-
and
Mhm.
they,
You
I
can
mean,
go
they've
on 4chan and ask things to happen and watch it happen in real time if you give them
Yes.
the right motivation.
yeah,
It
usually
was,
in the form of nudes.
Yeah.
Doesn't that
Yeah.
make him a accessory to a crime?
No. Um, 4chan
If you
was
know what's
unique.
going on,
No, 4chan was unique in its disclaimers in that it was giving people an anonymous foreground to be able to do things, but I don't think that it was a secret that 4chan is monitored um, pretty closely.
yeah.
Yeah, and he does have to comply with certain rules. Boards have to get taken down. He can't stop somebody from starting something, but he has moderators and janitors there that are going
Okay.
to take that down. And that's how he gets out of becoming an accessory.
All right.
Definitely, there were some years of 4chan that were a lot crazier than it is now.
Thanks,
Uh,
Pedobear.
yeah. So
Yep.
it's changed a lot, and I think that a lot of it that happens there now is kind of baiting people, if that makes
So-
any sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Kim, what do you think?
To be completely honest, I never frequented 4chan because by the time I was old enough to even really kind of get on it or care, it had already become that sort of toxic place that I didn't want to go to. Just because, you know, in like Pyro said earlier, you know, some of that stuff was just borderline illegal, and I didn't concern myself with it. I just didn't want to be there. And I think that that's the kind of perception that 4chan gets a lot, you know, for people who have never visited it also. You know, is it changing hands? Or is it just going to...
I believe that it's changing hands.
Okay.
I believe that because he wrote new code. Or supposedly he did. He was on vacation alone, sending pictures of his vacations and stuff. So it's kind of weird. I was really weirded out by it, and I definitely know that a lot of people were. And although I kind of saw it coming,
I think
I'm still shocked.
I think personally, you know, he saw it as a ticking time bomb. He was like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta sell this piece. I'm out. See you later. And he's just like, it's your problem. I'm gonna let you handle it. I mean, I think it's just become such a toxic place. He literally got tired of it and couldn't deal with it anymore.
Well, did you read what he said? I mean, it said, I need time to decompress and reflect.
Yeah.
Look forward to returning one day, or just another anonymous, you know, another anonymous person.
Yeah.
But he did do, and he points you to a YouTube that he did 10 hours ago. Did any of us watch it? 1,300,000 people watched it. Did any of us watch any of the questions that he answered there? Because I know I didn't.
I never watched that live because it's really long. He always did like a yearly address, and I actually have them all bookmarked. I used to watch them, but I would never watch them live.
Oh, no one could have put this up because it was...
They were like 3-4 hours long, so
Yeah,
I would watch them in increments.
Yeah, this was put up 22 minutes ago, and
yeah,
it is 4 hours long.
Yeah, there you go.
Gosh.
Yeah,
4 hours long, and 1 million people watched. 4 hours. That's 4 million hours that people will never get back.
Oh.
So guys, if you were gonna go back and watch it, you know, you always could tweet at us and give us some cliff notes, because I know I'm not taking 4 hours of my life to go back and watch
I don't
that
have
video.
4
Sorry.
hours to watch it.
And Brad Cow, we see you, man. Brad Cow's blowing up the chat.
He wants Macy to
What's
wave
going
at him.
on?
Wave, Macy. There we go.
Aegon's pretty chatty tonight too. He's got some great comments going. Good on you, producer
Yeah.
Ian, for sticking in there and putting that band hammer down. Oh man.
Do we need a band hammer?
We have the hammer in full force tonight. So if the trolls want to come out, bring it. The hammer's
We're
swinging
almost at
hard.
40. Wow.
So Pixie has a I don't know. This topic for me is pretty interesting. I don't know about you guys, but I want to hear what Pixie has to say.
So Michael O'Church posted an article on Quora, and it's literally entitled "What I Wish I Knew When I Started My Career as a Software Developer." And so he has a couple of nice tips that we're going to talk about real quick, and then I'll kind of get into why I thought this was so neat and kind of the nitty-gritty of it. But it's don't be afraid to learn on the job. Manage your career aggressively and take responsibility for your own education and progress. Recognize overperformance as well as underperformance and avoid them. Don't ask for permission unless it's reckless not to. Don't apologize for being autonomous or using your own time. Learn CS 666. It's basically what he calls the politics of software development, and you can usually forget about it. Refuse to learn it, and it's something that you're going to be realizing forever. Don't try to prove your boss is wrong. Don't fight other people's battles. Try to avoid thinking in terms of good versus bad. Be ready to play anything either way. Never step back on the salary scale except to be a founder. As a corollary, if you do step back, expect to be treated as a founder. Exercise. Long hours are sometimes okay, but they're usually harmful. Recognize core technological trends apart from fluff. And finally, learn as much as you can. It's hard and it takes work. So the reason that I thought this was interesting is because I personally feel like all of these are things that you should do in any career. It's well known that, if you overproduce or you underproduce, that you're going to get in trouble or people are going to expect those things of you and think you're either too good or you're incompetent. And they're going to expect a lot more from you if you overproduce. They're going to expect you to consistently do so. Same thing with staying long hours at work. And the biggest thing that really got me was exercise. I think it's really interesting that this was put on it. Just from a simple standpoint, I don't think people value exercise enough. Not only from the standpoint that it releases endorphins and does all kinds of wonderful things for your body, but also that it helps you in your career because it's proven that pretty people get paid more money.
Pretty people get paid more.
I could sense the
It's a
bitterness
statistical
for
fact.
some reason.
It's actually a statistical fact. So Shriv, what do you think?
I'm still in the
I would
pretty
say
people moment.
good-looking people because women still get paid less.
What does Shriv think? I think there's some points that are very valid, because I'm gonna speak for me and Nikki. There's a lot of things that we know now that we sure the hell did not know then, and kind of wish we did. Intend to pass that down to our children to pay attention to certain things in life because you will really need those skills. I don't care what your friends tell you, you're never going to use it when you grow up, but you will. And I think that there are certain things that are common sense. And some of these things on the list are goddamn common sense. It's something that you're either going to use and be productive or you're going to be stuck in the same place. What was the one about don't what your boss?
Don't try to prove your boss is
Don't try to
wrong.
prove your boss is wrong.
That's why they're the boss.
Who would do that?
Oh,
I
sweetie, throughout my life, I could point out many people that don't work for
Oh,
companies
then
anymore.
those people just.
That's kind of the point, though, is like
Yeah, it
some
is.
of
It's
this may be
awesome.
common sense, but if it's common sense, everyone should
Everybody
have
would
it,
have
and
it,
yet
yeah.
no, like there are a lot of people who just don't.
There are a lot of people who
It's
just don't,
it's
and
just
for some reason,
unfortunate.
it's
No,
genetic
I-
coding. But back to my original comment was, there are some things that on this list that are pretty freaking simple, and you would think everybody would get it. But apparently we have to make a 10-page bullet point for you to get it and read it and think, ha, that's why I got fired last week, because you just didn't know. So maybe it takes articles like this for some people to catch on. I mean, Nikki, go ahead.
Humana. I mean, all right. So, I have to bite through my tongue because I could relate this to the company I work for and certain things that we work by that some of them correlate here. The first one, don't be afraid to learn on the job. I would say WTF. You have to say, don't be afraid. Go out and learn on the job, because if you don't, you're going to be gone. The second piece is overperforming and underperforming. Hey, don't be scared to overperform. The people I see that overperform are all managers and executives at companies I've worked for. If you underperform, those people are working somewhere else. Don't ask permission unless it's reckless to. This is for software development, okay? This is not for every job. Because I would tell you, there's jobs I've had where you need to ask permission all the time. Currently, I work in a job where this one suits me. So good call on these, Pixie. I love this article. The biggest one over here is don't fight other people's battles. I'll tell you, I know so many people that either were passed up for promotion, aren't working at the company anymore, were immediately fired for getting involved with battles that weren't their own. And it's not saying don't be a good person. It's not saying go out, no, don't go out of your way to help somebody at work. Pick your battles. These are things. You're there to earn a paycheck, to feed your family, to better your life. And, at certain times, you got to remember who you're really there to keep happy is your boss. You keep your boss happy, you're going to be happy. And it's a kind of a sellout thing to say, but everybody I know that did exactly what their boss wanted and kept their nose clean, going straight and forward, is somewhere big now. And the last few: exercise, long hours, recognize core technologies, and finally learn as much as you can. Those three, I don't care what job you are in, whether you're in the military or you're in software development or working in a restaurant. Those are all good. Pixie, I love this article. It was awesome that you brought it to us, because you're right. It could be used in almost any job that you have.
You guys, you have to realize that when you are working a job, you're right, like any job, you may want to go to bat for somebody else, but are they going to do that for you? When the chips hit the floor and your boss says, the both of you in my office, what's going to happen when you get in there if you're advocating for somebody else and not yourself, which is the most important person that you should be taking care of? Especially if you are single and have no kids and you're really trying to work your way up that ladder. There's no reason why you can't be an advocate for yourself. I think, Kim, go ahead.
You know what? I think I use a lot of these at my job. I'm the youngest person at my job, at my company. And I think something that I can really connect with on this list that I think a lot of people do without realizing, and even I do, you overwork. You try to do a lot, because especially when you're young and you're with a lot of, I would say the people that I work with in the engineering department, some of those people are straight up geniuses. So I feel, I gotta be on par. I gotta give them something that's gonna make them want me to stay. And I find a lot of times I'm making myself work too hard. And, that's leaving an expectation that they're gonna have for me. And, I'm human. I'm gonna have faults, and I'm gonna mess up on some stuff and not make my deadline. And so, I kind of have to taper back on that. And I think that people should realize that, overworking yourself is really going to hurt you in the long run. And I'm really glad that this article had that in there, because I think that that's something that people overlook. It's always talked about, oh, don't underwork, but never talking about overworking. And, going back to the exercise thing, it's funny that this is on here, because my company actually gives people bonuses every year if they lose a certain amount of weight. They provide you with the gym. They provide you with 2 trainers.
Wow, 2, not just one.
2. We actually, you know what? We got a 3rd one recently.
Stop.
And they have morning yoga. They have they do weight training with you. They do Pilates. They do a whole bunch of stuff. And, it gives them an incentive. Like, hey, we want you to be happy, and we want you to be healthy, and we're going to help you, and we're going to pretty much pay you to do it. But, I mean, it really helps companies, too, because they don't have to really jack with as much health insurance. So,
Wow.
Get into a company that values exercise, because, it might be like mine. They might help you out and give you a little bonus every now and then.
Wow, that's
That's awesome.
amazing. Where
Man.
again? Where do I need to get a Texas? That's where I need. Yeah. Okay.
The coolest
Just
thing
checking.
too is you even get paid to get a physical. That's it. If you get a physical,
That's awesome.
you will get paid a bonus. If you run marathons, you get paid a bonus.
That really should be the way that things just work everywhere. It really, not necessarily like giving a number to how much weight you lose, but you should be encouraged to work out and to get your physical and to, even do things like donate blood and, things that would help your community and your
Don't you
larger,
just do that because you're a
people.
good person?
But I'm just saying it wouldn't hurt if we had, places harboring that and helping you with that. And I've worked at jobs that have encouraged that, and
So,
it's
Six,
definitely
go ahead and tell us
important.
how
It's
you
definitely
feel.
important. When it comes to the statistic of like prettier people get paid more, I think that in my experience, being attractive has worked against me in a lot of places, which is kind of interesting because a lot of people think I'm nuts when I say that, or they think I'm lying to them for some reason. I've been treated crappy by bosses because I won't date them or do more with them, and yeah, and it's especially places that I've worked that are more male dominated. Some people think that they're in an episode of Mad Men, and they could treat you a certain way because you look a certain way, or like make lewd comments towards you, and when nothing happens, you are the so and so who gets fired, and not the other one who kind of lets them do that.
Can I
And
tell
it's
you that I've had
interesting.
the opposite experience of that as well, where I've had women that are hitting on me and are very inappropriate and demanding because you don't give them that attention that
I've
is
had that from women
inappropriate.
too, but I've never
And
had women.
so it happens both ways.
I've never had women though in power who I could lose my job over for declining them though. I have had that happen with women, but I've never had them be my boss. If that makes any
It's
sense.
interesting. It's just interesting.
So yeah, I've definitely had, and I've had women in one job I left because a woman pushed me into a mop bucket and knocked my glasses off my face. So
Oh, that's nice.
I've never had that issue with a man. I've only had that with a woman. And I took care of that through the company and whatnot. But there's definitely, especially in smaller businesses that I've worked at, an issue where just because you're attractive, it doesn't mean that you're going to be granted things or that you're going to have any sort of stability. And it's kind of a catch-22 if you're not in a job that requires you to look a certain way.
Pixie,
some
what was
places
Pyro's comment?
I'm sorry, somebody asked if we were a feminist.
I saw that.
I'm sorry. I couldn't even do it. I could not feed this troll. So Pyro, he brought up something that really lines up with what Kim said about overworking. And he goes, the thing about overperforming is really based on situations where advancement isn't going to be an option anytime soon. Mm-hmm. People bend over backwards to do a job while others do a standard amount hoping to get additional compensation and do not receive it. If you're in a position where the only advancement is your boss's job or the owner's job, then you're just kind of burning yourself out. And I agree with that. I do think, coming from Kim's perspective, that, there are a lot of people who overwork, and it's important to remember not to overwork to a certain point. Otherwise, you kind of screw yourself. You get burned out, you get tired, and then you don't do a good job.
Yeah.
And if you take any of these tests for retail in general, a lot of companies kind of expect you, they'll ask you questions like, are you more free thinking or are you hardworking? They want to make sure that what matters more to you, a balance in life or that your company's brand is recognized. And it's kind of interesting that a lot of these retail positions want you to be a workhorse before they even consider you. They want you to not value your time, and they want you to not want high pay. And for whatever reasons, I just don't think that that's very healthy or that's very fair to be asking of employees.
It's definitely a great conversation and a great article. I think that everybody needs to read, whether you're starting out your career or you're thinking of changing your career, or you feel like that you right now are satisfied with where you are. Maybe this will change your mind that maybe you're not as satisfied as you think you are.
Mm.
We're gonna move over to Kim's topic for tonight, which is not entirely shocking, but
New.
there's little awe to it. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Kim.
Okay. So, a 32-year-old was found dead in an internet cafe in Taiwan. This is the second type of death that's occurred in Taiwan, and the last one was in 2012. The first, the individuals around the person who had died ignored the body for 10 hours. 10 hours. No one knows how long the most recent individual that had died had actually been dead, although police did report that it had been some time that he had been laying there, because the body had already started to stiffen when they got called.
Rigor mortis.
Yeah, he had already started to stiffen, so
Insane.
that's cool. The 38-year-old the 38-year-old had actually been a frequent customer to that internet cafe, and it was not uncommon for him to come in and do three-day gaming binges. And you know, the owner used to say, oh, he would come in and he'd play, and you know, he'd get tired, so he would lay his head down on the desk and go to sleep. So, you know, I guess it's not unusual behavior, but then on the surveillance, they found that he did have a small struggle before he suffered cardiac arrest and died right there at the internet cafe. So, my question is, I know this occurred in another country, but this kind of is widespread. Have we, as a culture, become so immersed with video games that we don't notice that someone sitting right next to us, within arm's reach, is having a struggle, having a cardiac arrest, right by you, and then lays there dead for God knows how long enough to stiffen. Yeah, and they died of exhaustion and cardiac arrest. That's what happened.
Cardiac arrest and exhaustion.
And also, another thing I'd like to ask is what does this say about the businesses that let people come in and do this for hours on end without saying, like, hey, man, maybe you should go home. I see you're tired. Like, maybe you should go home and rest and stop playing games for a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I don't think that would ever flew in an arcade.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Like,
So, Nikki, what do you think about that?
Well, first off, in Taiwan, it's a little bit different than here, the way that they have their internet cafes set up. It's not like people are coming out to serve you coffee or anything. You sit down there. You may have your own tea or something that you bring in with you. It's not like here. So it is very possible that because of all the traffic of people coming in and out, they wouldn't have seen it. And, you know, maybe because we don't understand the culture. I don't think this, I mean, if this happened in New York City, you'd hear about it everywhere, and we'd be talking about it we would have already been talking about this. This isn't the first time something's happened in Asia like this. Like you said, this is the second one. It's also happened in Korea, right? The kid that pissed
Yeah, they
himself
did the
and shit
documentary
himself,
on it.
right? So I've never heard of anything like this happening in the US. And I think it's because what you're asking is not the case. We are aware, and we are critical, and we are protective, and that is something that we would do. Now, I don't know. I mean, I've seen, from the kids that I work with, I call them kids who are all your age, and I apologize for that. But I work with all 20 to 25-year-olds, and when a new game comes out, they all take off when they go on 3-day binges, and they do take sleep breaks, and they go out for pizza, and they, it's so. I don't know that kind of culture. It would appall me if it happened in this country. But because I don't know customs and I don't know what goes on there, I do know a little bit. I was able to do a couple of searches on what an internet cafe is in Taiwan. It's much different than something that you see in Europe, like in Amsterdam or in Paris or in any place in England. It's not the same type of place. Plus, they're 24/7. It's not like they are here. So who's next?
So, before we get rolling, Pyro has a really good comment. He said, "This is just a version of bars serving people that are already drunk. As long as they are making money, they don't care what people are doing to themselves."
But we have regulations where they can get in a lot of trouble if not closed down and fined or jailed if they keep on serving alcohol to somebody who's clearly intoxicated. Like, there are laws and, you know, regulations in place to ensure that people can kind of remain safe. And the bars are responsible if something happens to somebody in their vicinity or even leaving their facility. They're supposed to take their keys away from them. They're supposed to make sure they get a taxi if they're too intoxicated. And you, as a person in your home, are supposed to be responsible for the person if somebody got drunk in your house. At least I know that it's like that here in New York. So there definitely is accountability to somebody, whether it's fair or not, in your opinion, over here. And I think that the question is becoming, you know, who should be accountable for this, if anybody?
Yeah.
So before I go and get Pixie's opinion, I just want to congratulate Heather Bell for winning that Ibanov game code. We just did a giveaway, guys. We do giveaways at random, so everybody in chat, make sure you're earning that cred. If you're not following, make sure you follow. You get extra credit. So Heather, check your Twitch email. Or Twitch mail, I won't call it email. That's going to be in your Twitch mail in the next 24 hours. So go ahead, Pixie.
So this is not just an issue that occurs where people themselves die. In Korea, there have been children who have been left alone for severe periods of time who have died of starvation because their parents were gaming. There was a documentary done on it. This doesn't only happen in Asia either. There are children in America who have been playing WoW, who have sat at their computer so long, refused to drink, eat, or go to the bathroom, and have died from exhaustion. This is not abnormal anywhere in the world. This occurs everywhere, and this is kind of an issue. Now, do I think that the business is responsible? I think at a certain point, smart business mechanics would tell you don't want your customers to die. I mean, I'm sorry, but like that's money out of your pocket. At a certain point, like you do want to check up on people and make sure that they're okay.
Well, no, tobacco's not like that. Tobacco wants to wrangle you in younger and younger so that when your older people die, there's new people to replace them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a business model too, unfortunately.
But is that the same business model that internet cafes really work under?
No.
See, and that's kind of...
Come here and play your game and die?
Yeah, no.
That's a great tagline.
There's a...
Woo! I'm there, man.
Sorry,
Yo, I got
Pixie.
this.
Go out
I'm
happy,
sorry.
right?
I got this. This is like some crazy where you join a game and it's like virtual reality and then you like die in game and you never come back to life outside of it. Like maybe that's what happened. The guy just died in game and he was fucked. I don't know. But the simple fact is like, I'm sorry, was that too soon?
No.
Like the simple fact is this is something that occurs everywhere in the world. Like, why is it that we're not raising people to be intelligent enough to like get up and get a glass of damn water or to like go eat some real food? Is there an issue with video games being created that they're making them addictive? Because WoW sat down with physical therapists and psychologists and worked to make the game as addictive as possible. Like, is this a symptom of something that we're not seeing? Or is this an issue with people?
I think it's definitely addictive. You know, like you said, they have psychologists that have sat there and done it. And they made sure that they're addictive, especially even like Facebook games people do this with. It doesn't have to be like a well-established, well-developed game.
Yeah.
You know? People do this with slot machines at a gas station. Like, you know, it's gambling. It's scary.
OTB.
I think that there's a little bit of a double-edged sword here when it comes to businesses knowing and understanding that human beings, like Aegon said, have addictive personalities and exploiting that and to make a dollar. But also understanding in yourself that you do have that type of personality. So there has to be, again, I guess the theme of the show is common sense. And if you don't have it, life's a little rough for you sometimes. Meaning you may not understand how to cut yourself off from one too many drinks and not drive your car and kill someone. Or maybe you just don't understand because you're at a young age and binge playing video games or binge watching TV or overindulging in anything that is unhealthy. You know, we do this a lot in America, and it's because we like to eat our feelings and immerse ourselves in everything but our real life because we have problems dealing with things.
Are you saying that there's a problem with me crying into my bowl of Ben and Jerry's while I eat
There is
it?
not a problem. No, there is not a problem. I'm saying that if that's what you want to do as an adult and you understand that that's your vice and that's something that is important to you, please have at least a family member or support group or somebody that you can call so that if you get to a point where you are not understanding that you have lost control, somebody can rein you in. That's what I'm saying. And that's the important thing to take away from this type of situation, because Nikki's right. There is a whole nother culture that we know nothing about, and how they are integrating, teaching, and raising their children is something entirely different than what we're doing. But the scary part for me is if there was one of these that just happened to migrate over to Western culture and pop up somewhere like New York or California,
Wait.
you bet your damn Skippy that everybody would be in there binging right away. They'd be like, I gotta go in and check it out and see what it's all about. There's food being served 24 hours a day, drink being served. I don't have to get up. I don't have to get more quarters. I don't have to do nothing. I just sit there. We would be in there checking it out. As adults, we would spend some days in there. I can give you that. Now, I would sit next to you because I know CPR and I'm certified. I might try to help you if you're having some kind of a problem.
Might.
It depends, because I have to carry my CPR mouthpiece with me and some other safety things for my own concern. But I would at least call 911. I mean, at least call 911.
So Pyro made a good point about me crying into my bowl of Ben & Jerry's, and he said there isn't a problem doing that once in a while, but when you're at Costco buying ice cream in bulk, then that's a problem. And I think while like we're joking about this, it's completely true. It's everything in moderation, and that's something that a lot of people don't consider. It's always moderation.
Well, I mean, we talked about this issue a little bit when PSP was on the show, because that was around the time that the child who was binging on Modern Warfare came into the hospital dehydrated. It was an American child. And we were talking about ESRB ratings and the responsibility that you have as a parent when you introduce your child to anything, whether it be video games or television, or, you know, to have balance, introduce balance into their life. Anything addictive, including video games, when not balanced, is detrimental. And that's the thing that I think is the scariest, is that when we're talking about people having common sense and portion control, these people who are normally going overboard have been doing this since they were at least young teenagers, preteens. They have been doing this since they were children or at least young teenagers. So they are not adults like our age, 25 and up, or Macy, I'm sorry, Kim, you're a little younger, coming in and saying, you know, oh, I'm an adult now and I'm going to try video games. These are kids who are introduced to WoW at the age of 13, or introduced to an immersive game like even Zelda when they're 7, and they're playing for hours and hours, and their parents aren't regulating it, and they become addicted to it. And that's definitely and that's an issue with first-time parents. I know that I had an issue with that, with these kind of sit-and-click games where I was bored and I was depressed, and, you know, you sit there and you play these games and you pass your time when the house is clean and the baby's asleep, and it could become addictive. And they're made to be addictive. They're made so that you check in every couple of hours. They're made so that you make sure that you get your reward, and not everybody is in the state of mind when they get into that to come out of it. And that's, you know, that's not always shame on the person. It's designed to be that way. Yeah. And, you know, it's... I don't like when people want to say, oh, well, it's just the person, because it's a system working against that person, and we should be able to acknowledge that and to kind of try to figure out how to address that so that people could approach it with a more knowing understanding.
It's all
at the
about the
very least.
education.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so
Yeah,
anybody
want-
got any good comments in chat? Kim or Pixie? Go ahead, Nikki.
Yeah.
I just want to make one comment. I probably did say something incorrect, and I think Pixie called me out or called it out in our Skype chat, but I just did a search on Google about child dies from playing video game. Oh my God. It's like Pixie said, it's not one, it's not two, it's everywhere. There's 3 other kids that died 18 years and younger in Taiwan in internet cafes, one playing 40 hours of Diablo when it came out in 2012. So I take back what I said. I didn't realize how widespread it was. I mean, a lot of it is Korea and Taiwan, but there was a couple in the US too. I mean,
Yeah,
so,
I mean, we're talking. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
talking like Mass Effect here, and we're not talking about
Yeah.
the good game Mass Effect. We're talking about some shit Mass
Yeah.
Effect right now.
yeah. Sorry.
No.
So Pyro says, when I was young, my term was one more level, and it got to the point where I was only allowed to play a certain level of English. So hard. I was only allowed to play a set amount of levels a day. Regulations that were set by his parents to keep him from going overboard.
Yeah.
Pyro, good on you. You call your mom and dad today and tell them we said that's good for them. Thank you. Thank
My
you
mom
so
did
much
that
for
with me,
parenting.
too.
And it can
I
be
mean-
hard for parents. You know, I'm a single mom, and, you know, it could definitely be easier to be really tired. I was going to school 18 hours a week, and I was working full-time, and I had a second job. It could be really easy to just fall asleep while your kid's in front of the TV, but you can't, you just can't do that. And, once in a while, it's one thing to have them binge on whatever they want to do. But if I let my daughter, she'd play video games or watch TV all day, every day. It's
But you
all
know,
that she would do, and you
That's
can't.
the same
you
thing
can't
to
let
be
that
said
happen.
about letting your kid have too much ice cream or candy or whatever. It's
But
all,
it's
like you
easier
said,
to
in
let them watch
moderation.
TV all day than it is to
A
tell
lot
them,
of
no, I'm
parents
not
do.
making you an ice cream sundae.
Yep.
A lot
There's
of parents
no
do.
effort. There's no effort involved. Your kid can learn how to turn on an iPad or a television by the time that they're 2.
Right.
Like
very
it's a no effort. It's a no effort problem that parents can fall into very easily. And I mean, like, I noticed that I don't even watch all of my daughter's shows anymore with her. Like, you sit
It'll get
there
worse
and
as she gets older too, because
no,
you'll
but I
be
know, like,
busy and
it's
she'll
not even
be
being busy. They're boring.
occupied. Yeah,
Like,
she'll be
it's not even
occupied,
busy.
and you'll feel that
Yeah.
you're able to free yourself up a little bit more from her because she is being slightly independent. I mean, you monitor her because you're a good parent, and I know you as a person, and you'll make sure she's watching appropriately. But what happens to most parents, and I'm guilty of it every once in a while, is my kid is in a place where she's straight A student, she's a good kid. I'm trusting her to try to decide what's good or bad to watch, so I'll kind of break away a little bit for an hour or two, and sometimes I'll come back and be like, what the hell are you watching? Because I'll hear some language or I'll hear something like a show that Pixie watches
Ted.
that my kid probably really shouldn't be watching. And it's got some carny folks in it, and you can just think of it yourself. But now I have the problem of she'll ask me, can I just watch one, like you said, one episode? Can you watch it with me? I'll fast forward the language parts. I won't tell anybody that they said blah, 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 so
Yeah.
being 14,
I had to cover my eyes to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark until I was like 14.
You're
I
from
was
the
not-
South.
Oh.
I was not censored from virtually anything. I grew up in a very free-form kind of household up until I was in foster care, and for obvious reasons I was put in foster care considering that. But I never had those restrictions that a lot of people get, and as a result my parents kind of got a kick out of me getting scared or like seeing things that would freak me out when I was a kid, so it was very much opposite. And I definitely am lucky that I pulled myself out of a lot of the addictive tendencies that I had, because I did have a lot of these addictive tendencies, particularly with video games and with music, where I could get kind of sucked into a world. And it takes a lot to pull yourself out of it. So I guess maybe I come from a more sympathetic angle with this, because I do understand what it's like to be kind of holed into this, like, shitty reward system in a game, and you're really not getting anything from it. And and when you come out of it, you're happy, but there's a lot of people that, what was it? The woman that like shook her child to death because it interrupted her from playing Farmville in 2008
Right.
or
Yeah.
something like that. Like these games can trigger something bad, and I say games lightly. They're gambling.
So I'm gonna
They're not like one more level kind of a game. They are slot machines
Wow.
I'm gonna go
masqueraded as
to
games.
I'm going to go to a point because I think we've gotten to a dark place with this topic, and I think there's a great point to be made about why most of us play these games and how lots of these games can help people, like Dark said in the chat, to
Mhm.
escape reality and go to a place that they're able to decompress, relax, and or find their happy place, and or it's a healing type of therapy for physical therapy, mental therapy, PTSD, and things like that, um, which is a benefit to video games in my or I don't know, some TV, you could put this in any aspect, in my opinion, versus the negative that we've been talking about for the last 5 or 10 minutes. And I think that, Six, you touched on this in the last show that we had, that your daughter being able to play, her handheld has helped her out a
No,
lot. And
I'm not trying
Yeah.
to say that there's no benefits to gaming. It's just that you can't ignore that there is definitely a deep end that you can go over with anything, and video games are no exception. And I think that it would be unfair for us on a journalistic level to not address that sometimes. It's not fear mongering. We understand, and we all love games. We all play games even significantly, as a portion of our lives on this show. We talk about them regularly, and we get a lot of joy from them. And I definitely do. And my daughter has come leaps and bounds with her being able to use her occupational therapy and moving her hands around and hitting the buttons. But there has to be some sort of a common sense pullback. You have to draw a line somewhere, especially when you're getting into games as a young person. You know, and I don't think that it's demonizing video games to say that. And I don't think it's demonizing video games to separate these gambling addictive kind of games from a regular kind of escapist video game that people want to put out for enjoyment like you would a movie. They get lumped together, and I don't think that that's fair either to the industry. I think that they're very different.
Okay.
giveaway is started, guys. We got 45 people in the chat. Thank you so much for
Wow.
going out and bringing your friends in.
Amazing.
We're going to give away another one of those Ibn Ab codes, so keep an eye on the timer. If you got cred, use it to raffle in. If you don't know how to do it, check the chat, or excuse me, the info in the bottom, or take a look at the chat when people are bidding with their cred. I believe it is my turn for my topic. So, before we get started on this topic, I want to preface it that there is a reason why I'm bringing this up, and you'll learn why I'm bringing it up towards the end of my commentary. If you have not been on Twitter in the last year, then you won't know what the he for she hashtag means, or what the he for she campaign is all about. And he for she basically is a campaign that was started. Actually, it started over in the UK. It really is migrated over to the United States, and it is a campaign where the men in our lives step up and advocate for women's rights and or equality. Not necessarily feminism per se, because I think that Pixie's made the point that a lot of people tend to equate the word feminism with very archaic terminology and definition of feminism, and that's not the case in this situation. The he for she hashtag has been tweeted over 1 billion times. Twitter this week spray painted it or painted it on their wall inside their corporate office, because that hashtag has now hit the wall of fame. And there was a big conference and a YouTube video that you can go watch on their website that was actually calling out people that are taking part in this campaign. If you haven't, asking you, parents, CEOs, and universities to get involved in this movement, and ask, what are you doing to further the he for she campaign? And I really think that there should be a flip side of that coin. I was talking to Six about it earlier today, and I'm wondering why there seems to be so much backlash and hate when it comes to this campaign. And Ian's going to throw up a tweet that we got tagged in earlier today when I retweeted the He for She campaign that I felt was kind of rude and obnoxious.
That was rough.
And it made me pause and ask the question, instead of bitching, complaining, and being an ass about this campaign, if you're a man and you feel that there's no equal type of organization or equal community out there supporting you, why don't you do something about it? Why are you not trying to find some ways to have someone support you and your mission and what you want to do? And, instead of bashing and using the "See You Next Tuesday" in a tweet back to an organization that's trying to do something that is actually making some change.
I don't know. That guy was too edgy for us, I think. He
I
was just,
think that
we're coming in hot.
Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I really don't think he was that edgy at all. I think he was a little.
Well, I read his.
Guys, I'm gonna roll into. Yeah, I'm gonna get to you. I'm gonna get to you. I promise.
Out there with
let me finish. I'm gonna get to you. There's a Twitter for He for She, and there's the organizational website link that they're gonna Ian's gonna throw up, and then I'm gonna go to Pixie first because I know the Pixie's got some words to share. And I was not offended by the comment and the usage of the "See You Next Tuesday." And if you don't know what that is, just check out the tweet. But I was slightly offended by the actual context of the tweet, because I think that was so inappropriate that was from anger. That's what that was from. And again, we always say maybe you should calm down and think about it before you put it out there. And this guy definitely was like, I'm pissed, typing, send. Go ahead, Pixie.
All right. I want somebody to go before me because I get the feeling I'm going to take a second.
Let Nikki go first. Nikki, go first.
Yeah.
I don't like that word.
All right, Kim, go first.
I don't like that word.
Okay, let me first talk about Arcade's comment because it's really good. It said hashtag He for She because I saw the Wonder Woman symbol and thought, Whataburger? And that's just unfortunate. Wonder Woman is badass and Whataburger is terrible. And then Pyro followed it up with, Arcade Android, you shut your dirty mouth. Don't ever bash our Whataburger.
Oh my god.
I love you guys in chat.
Yeah, so the way that I feel about this whole organization is, I'm for it. Personally, this is how I feel about the whole equality of the movement that we're trying to get going for women, is that, I think that we will be heard a lot louder if we do have men backing us. And I think that that's a little bit unfortunate, but it's something that I've come to believe in myself. Like, I think that that's something that we may have to say, okay, this is how it's going to be. There's something that I run across is so many women being like, no, I don't need your help, to a lot of men. And I feel like they're hurting themselves and they're hurting the whole point of it, of trying to get equality for themselves. Yeah. And, I don't see the harm in letting a man help you speak out for yourself and for women if they have the right intentions. I don't get it. And so I think that this is great. I love it. I hope it goes far, and I want to see more from it. This is actually the first time I've ever seen it. So I'm definitely going to be following this hashtag for sure, because it's something that I can get behind and I believe in. So let's see who we could throw it to. Nikki, you wanted to pass on it for right now?
No, I have my own thoughts, and I'm sorry I was thrown by the comment. I should have read it when I was reading the show notes, but that would have just pissed me off before.
Right, yeah.
And better to be, shocked on the show so it shows reality, right? I can't believe that somebody would just put that up. It makes it all the more reason why this is important. And it makes sense. It's always people coming together. When we just had MLK Day, right? He didn't stand up there, and a lot of people pull him into the racial rights, right? But he fought for freedom and for equal rights for all races, right? Not just for one. And he gathered people together, black men, black women and white women and children. There were children marches, and it took not just one group of people, but it took many people working together for that to come to fruition, right? So here we are with equal rights for women, and yes, you need to have many different people come together, and this is a important part of that. And it's a it's something. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so old. Every time you guys do the Skype chat, it throws me off. So sorry.
Sorry.
No, I'm so sorry. It really does, matter to me. And I didn't know about this until I think Shiv said it maybe a week ago or maybe a few weeks ago. And I started following it back then. Definitely, this thing is awesome. It's cool. And it's one of the key things that's going to help, get this message out there. So that's my take on it.
So Nikki, Paige, I want you to go next because we're gonna save Pixie for last because she's over there gathering her thoughts.
That's fine. Well, I am used to dealing with people like this. I don't get bothered by them. I actually kind of think that word is sort of funny. I use it pretty often. Maybe more in a British sense. Maybe more in a British sense than but I am not okay with taking words off the table in general. I think that it shows you people's true colors. I think that it helps you to weed out crappy people from your life. If somebody is racist, I don't think that they should stop using racist terms. I think that I should separate myself from racist people. I think that people bury their own holes when they use certain vocabulary. And I went on his Twitter, and I saw a lot of things that he was tweeting. And I didn't want to even bring him onto the show because I don't think that people like that deserve our attention. I think that they should be ignored into oblivion, and they should be buried with the archaic beliefs that are being trampled upon as we speak.
Well,
we're here.
It wasn't about the tweet. It was about answering the question that Dark had, and Dark had a good question. There should be equal time for men when it comes to the same type of rights, and that was my point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe that you can't fix the whole world by only focusing on half of it.
Yeah,
I definitely, and I don't think that any woman.
Preach!
I don't believe that any woman on this show would believe that. If I had a son, I would love him just as much as my daughter, and I'd want him to have just as much opportunity as my daughter. If I feel a certain way, I want to be treated with just as much respect as my boyfriend. And I think that he would want the same for me. I've come from a very diverse background, and I've dealt with a lot of shitty women, and a lot of shitty men, and a lot of great women, and a lot of great men. So, when I come into contact with guys like this, or people who say that they're guys, who knows who they really are, it's the internet, I think that they're kind of funny, because Emma Watson, in her video, was saying that she was being asked by men how they could help, and then this guy, instead of actually watching and understanding that she's responding to people, assumes that she's taking a stand and speaking for all men, because that makes sense. in a crazy world where he lives. And I mean, take it from a person like Emma Watson. Emma Watson was a child star who cannot turn on the internet without seeing pictures of her face photoshopped onto porn. Think about that for a minute. That's kind of gross, and if I was Emma Watson, I'd probably be a fierce advocate as well. She sticks up during when the massive leak of pictures came out. She was sticking up for women, saying, out of respect, you should not be looking at these pictures. You're violating these people's privacy. And she was getting threatened to be doxxed. And she said, well, fuck you, dox me. Go ahead, I dare you. And she wasn't going to be silenced by people trying to say these things to her and people trying to stop their fun. And no matter whose expense that fun is on. So I really respect Emma Watson. I think that she's extremely brave. I think that she is at the pinnacle and at the ground zero of these people who she is fighting against. I think that a lot of them are obsessed with her, and it's got to be really hard, and she's got to deal with a lot of scary stuff, you know, as a response. So I'm sorry if I took any of your points away from you, Pixie. But you know, like I don't think that what he said is necessarily wrong. I think he's welcome to say whatever he wants, but I think that he's alienating himself from a greater good and from actually getting any progress done on either side of the coin. And Emma Watson is not. So she wins, we win, he loses. Bye bye, buddy. Yeah, like
All right,
bad for
Pixie, are you
you.
ready?
Alrighty. Okay. So here's the thing. You can get your point across without saying see you next Tuesday. I don't care that he did, because personally, like, that's actually one of my favorite words.
How?
I love
I
it.
love it.
I do. I love it. It is dirty and vulgar and
It makes
horrible,
me
and I think it's
cringe.
Really? It doesn't make me cringe. I just
Why?
feel like as a
a
parent,
word.
I don't usually say it out loud.
I don't know why. I just am like, oh.
I got grounded for using it in Scrabble once, and I think that might be the reason why I like it so much. It was like a triple point word, and we had to break out the dictionary, and it was in there, and then I got grounded.
Here's the thing. I know you think that men speaking out on this is totally great. I wish it were. But the simple fact is when men speak out on anything that involves women's rights issues, they're called pussies. They're told that they're just doing it to get laid. And it's not just by men that this happens.
Yeah.
Females do it too. And it is a problem. 100% a problem. Men are not going to be listened to. They're not. Unfortunately, the opposite is not true. If women speak on men's rights, women are very often listened to more than men are. It's just a fact. It's really sad. I don't know why it is that way, but it is.
The nature of oppression.
Yeah, white knight.
Yeah,
like, I think Emma Watson is great for speaking out on this. I do. I think that it is really important that we get to a point where people understand that it is equality of opportunity and not equality of outcome. There will never be equality of outcome. It's just impossible. There are always going to be people who are going to be better at a job than you. There are always going to be people who have given, you know, and who have a different set of skills and standards and ideas, and it's just, it happens. Like, it's one of the things that happens. And Paige, you brought up that, you know, Emma Watson spoke out on, you know, the fappening. We all know what the fappening was. We all know what happened.
Well, she speaks out not just on that. She speaks out on every time that happens. She's very vocal, and I appreciate it as a woman.
Yeah.
I appreciate it too, but I also think there's a problem with absolving people of personal responsibility. If you take nude pictures and you send those nude pictures to somebody else and they get posted on the internet, you made a mistake.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree at all. If I put a picture of my daughter on the internet and somebody...
It's my responsibility to look out for myself. If somebody else is doing that, that's on them, not on me.
If somebody takes a picture of my daughter and photoshops it into porn, is it my fault for putting her picture on my Facebook and sharing it with my family? You know, it's you're giving these things to people that you trust, and there should be an accountability for somebody misusing that trust.
I don't think that everybody... Yeah, go for it, Pixie.
There are lots of girls who send out random nudes. That's why. Is anyone up a curd?
I know for a fact.
Fuck men over by, like, cheating on them and doing all sorts of other shit.
I don't think that cheating on somebody means that you should have
I don't think it does either, but it's a simple fact. It's something that'll happen. Like, you have personal responsibility. Everything you do has a consequence, be it positive or negative. And you need to think about those consequences before you perform any action.
So I have a question, Pixie.
So
I know, I mean, if it works that way, and I do agree with you, if it works that way, it should work the same for men as well. But I don't think I've heard of any occurrence of that.
It doesn't negate community.
What?
It happens in the gay community.
I'm sure. I'm sure it does.
And there's a huge issue. This only happens really to women. Like there's sites where women will put up the mistresses and they have an opposite page for their husbands, but they don't put their husbands' pictures and information up, but they'll put those mistresses' Facebooks and pictures up and where they live. And there's sites that if there's a girl, they'll put her school and her town and where she's from and her name and her last and her first initial, and they tell you how to find her. So no, I would not condone that. Even if there's a reality that that could happen and that might happen, I'm not going to put that on the victim's fault. I'm going to put that on that scumbag who went and put that on the internet. You know, if you're mad counselor, if somebody's provoking you, go to the cops. You don't go to the judge in court of the internet and try to publicly shame them from getting jobs. A lot of these people have children. You know, it's the same thing when the news doesn't agree with you and they assassinate your character. It's character assassination that's really the issue there. It's not even our deal with nudity. It's the fact that you're going to shame somebody for pissing you off, and I don't think that should be condoned.
The thing is revenge happens in all sorts of capacities.
But that doesn't mean that we should be okay with
ultimately, I'm not condoning anything. Yeah. You're misunderstanding me. I think the person who posts the nudes on the internet is a shitbag. I think that they're a total shitbag and that what they're doing is wrong. Don't get me wrong on that. I think it's horrible and it's horrendous, but ultimately, we all have personal responsibility. And we all need to work to mitigate our real life risks with the best way we can.
I mean, if that ever happened to me, I think that I'd put them online for money and donate the money to stopping child pornography rings or something like that. I'd try to put that towards something productive, if I was a celebrity especially. And I think that there are ways that it can get turned around, but in the end, you know, it ends up being character assassination. And maybe I did misunderstand you, and I don't mean to disrespect you in that way, you know, but I get really, really upset when people try to say, oh, well, it's your fault for taking the picture. No, the reality is that everybody wants to do that, and everybody does that, and people want to share intimate moments, especially if they're in long-distance relationships, and they should have the freedom to and the trust to, and there should be consequences if you get caught breaking that trust.
Absolutely. Yeah. My point is, if I leave my car unlocked at night and someone gets into it and steals my GPS, the person who stole it was wrong. But I could have done something to help and to stop it.
But what if they break your window? What if they break your window and take your stuff?
But no one's saying they would. Different. They might have only stolen it because my car was unlocked. And I'm not saying that I am the reason that they stole it or that I am solely responsible, but there are things that I can do that mitigate my risk and that we should all be doing them.
All right. How did we get here?
We were talking about accountability.
We let
we left from me talking about men not being useful in movements.
I mean, I'm trying to follow the timeline.
No, because
so why don't we just
Emma Watson.
Let's go back to the chat, guys. Let's go back to the chat because there's a couple of great conversations going on in chat, and I know, Kim, you've been keeping up with the chat. Some people had some great points saying that both sides of the table, you know, some things you guys are great at, and then they're all also saying that we're off the deep end on a couple of points. So we really have to.
Don't put your face in nude pictures and Snapchat. This is why it was invented. You are 100% correct on the Snapchat.
Speaking of which, Snapchat is getting video coming up soon, which that's a whole nother topic. I gotta keep my kid away.
It already has video.
It's always had video.
Is it? No, it's not Snapchat. What's the other one? There's another new app that's like Snapchat, but I can't remember what it was called. Oh, I tweeted this morning. But anyways, I'll go off topic. Okay. Nikki, I want to come back to you because you had a good point. If you feel like talking about it, let's do it.
No, I mean, I made my points about it. It was just, you know, I was trying to follow us how we got to the point. I think that a lot of us make comments like, oh, because some people are Pixie said something about guys that do support women get beaten up, but not all of them. In certain sections they do.
A lot of them do.
Yeah, not all of them. Not most of them. A lot of them maybe in your age group. I don't know. I don't see it. I see that when people are supported, things go forward. So it does it mean that we got to do it alone? If you go alone, then you're going alone, and you're really not going to. It's not going to work. You know, you're the only one holding the torch, and everybody else is standing on the side. So you need people to support you and to speak up for you, and eventually they stop. It took hundreds of years for us to end slavery in this stupid freaking country. You know, one man wanted to put it into the Declaration of Independence. It happened 90 years later, right? So it's something that takes a group of people of different types coming together. You didn't have gay rights, you know, now it's not as, you know, the 70s growing up, you know, if you were gay, you were beaten to a pulp. Today it's the end thing. Now it's pansexual. Yeah, so it takes time for things to happen. And it wasn't just gay people out there saying, hey, give us rights. It was, you know, heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, lesbian people coming together to fight that battle. And it's still being waged, right? Going to the Supreme Court right now. So all these battles, whatever they are, it takes more. Yeah, I know, Pixie. It takes more. And I love you, Pixie. It takes more.
I love Skillet.
Yeah.
Skillet. I'll be like,
now I'm saying,
I love Skillet.
yeah, I'm saying it just takes it takes many groups of people coming together for any of these things to take hold. You can't go it alone, and this is one of the things that is going to help move this further along. Because even though there are, you know, equal rights amendments and, you know, television shows that show it, you know, Mary Tyler Moore wore pants for the first time in the 50s.
Holy shnikes!
And we're still
was
fighting the
amazing.
same. And we're still fighting the same battle where she worked on a show as a producer and made less money than Murray, who was a writer, you know? So you're still fighting the same battle 20, 30, 40 years later, you know, for a lot, 40 years. Holy cow, I'm older than I thought. 60 and 70 years later. You know, and it's because we keep trying to do these things ourselves. It takes a whole group of people coming together from different sections to get a movement through, not just one. Otherwise, it's just people waving a flag and everyone on the sidelines going, who are they again? Oh, yeah, what are they about? They're just screaming on their own. So when you have other people taking up your sword, you know, picking up your sword and, you know, fighting with you or not fighting in this case, just trying to get your point across, it's going to go further.
So speaking of those other people, you know, we want to thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with us in the chat tonight. It's a great conversation. Ladies, you guys are awesome this evening. And the reason why we are all here in the same place week after week talking about the things that we enjoy and things that we don't enjoy is because we all believe in the same mission and the same charge, if you will. And that is equality for us self-professed nerds and geeks. You know, we want to be able to say, I love Wonder Woman, or I love Voltron, or whatever it is that we enjoy, and not be told because I have a different gender than you that I can't like something, or because I'm different, my skin is a different color, or I am a little more introverted, that I can't like something or be included in your group. Everyone here, and I know you guys in chat, have felt the sting of being ostracized from something that was important to you. And we just feel that that's just some bullshit, and we're going to call bullshit on it every week. So if you guys like what you see and hear, then please click the follow button and join us every week, 9:30 Eastern. We'll be here to have a conversation with you. And I'm going to skip the shout outs tonight because we're running long, but I want to thank you ladies for joining week after week and having a great time. Producer Ian, we're giving you props back there with that band hammer, and everybody in chat. Shout outs to you for coming. And
thanks for all the support.
Tonight.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you.
Fantastic chat tonight.
Of course.
Yeah. 55.
That, right? Pretty
Jericho's
awesome.
wielding the band hammer too. Go ahead with your bad self, Jer. Smack it down.
Swing that band hammer.
So we always invite the trolls to come out and see how far you can get. We're not scared.
All right. Good people taking care of us.
So be sure to hit that hashtag LORT Live and give us some questions and some suggested topics for next week, because we can always take those and add them to this show. And roundtable out. Run those credits, producer Ian. Dance it out, ladies.
Hi, guys. I'm too tired to dance.
Oh, Pixie's got no
It'd be
dance
so,
left in
it'd
her.
be so
Dancing.
easy if I knew what the
Oh, come on,
music was.
Pixie. Throw some little bit of, throw some boobies in there.
Just give him a little.
This is what they want.
Okay, first of all, they're attached to my body. I would rather not throw them anywhere. That gets very uncomfortable at certain points.
Okay, honey.
Very uncomfortable.